A blessed day to all of you. It is my honor to present to you this topic about DepEd Order number 25, series of 2020. This is entitled The National Adoption and Implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. Magkasunod lang sila noong DepEd Order number 24, series of 2020 that is all about the national adoption and implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for school heads. So, magkasunod lang talaga sila ng DepEd Order number 24 and DepEd Order number 25. This presentation can be viewed many times in my Hector Macalalag leadership channel. So if you would like to review this presentation, you can always view this one in my YouTube channel. As well as I have so many uh, presentation about the Philippine Professional Standards for school heads. Now, this activity or this presentation is being done for our roles training, face-to-face training. And I'm very honored to be the first discussant of this activity. We all know that these standards has long before wished because this is a journey since the conception of Republic Act 9155 in 2001. There have been a lot of questions regarding really the functions of a district supervisor, division supervisor, and regional supervisors. Naalala pa ninyo when there was a time that the salary of the regional supervisor is higher, slightly, from those of this division supervisor and the public schools district supervisor. So there was a time in our history in the Department of Education. And now, isa itong katuparan as we discussed this DepEd Order number 25, series of 2020. But I think there are still a lot of gray areas that we need to address because there is no yet issuances from the NAYAP as well as from the BHROD of the uh, IPCRF for both division supervisors and public schools district supervisors as well as the regional supervisors. According to Director General Fer Lopez, they are still finishing all the necessary preparations for the teachers category. Yung school head nga wala pa. So we really need to innovate. We really have need to customize considering that at the end of the calendar year, the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent is the approving authority of all supervisors in the division. So, bali ako yung approving authority of all supervisors with your chief as the rater. So friends, let us now discuss the national adoption and implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. And at the end of this session, and at the end of this training on roles, reorientation on leadership standards, we are hoping that there will be a uniform IPCRF to be presented and agreed upon by all of you, considering that malapit na tayo, no? Malapit na tayong matapos ng calendar year. It's time for the performance review and evaluation, and whatever we will agree on this seminar on roles will be implemented for the next cycle of calendar year, because it will be very unfair if we will implement this immediately without you preparing for this. Okay, let us start. Of course, we will start with Rationale. So, let me do a lecture method because we cannot have the interaction because this is recorded because of our regional Mancom in Surigao City. So, I cannot be with you physically. So, wala tayong magagawa. I cannot call somebody to read. I cannot interact with you. So, I have really to read all of this and partly explain. And these are all self-explanatory. You can expound this one. Even you can review this one. So the rationale of this DepEd Order number 25, series of 2020, is that the K-12 basic education program provides for the development of holistic learners equipped with 21st century skills and core values being Maka-Diyos, Makatao, Makakalikasan, and Makabansa, who could contribute to nation building. Of course, this is the general objective and rationale of this DepEd Order. I think this is also present with the Philippine Professional Standards for School Heads. Ito yung general na talagang gusto natin mangyari. Yung mga development of holistic learners for the 21st century. In consonance with this, the Department of Education renews its focus on making decisive gains in upgrading education quality by strengthening the quality of each teachers through the national adoption and implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers or the PPST to DepEd Order number 42 series of 2017. So, uh, we really have to upgrade education. That's why mayroon tayong PPST. Imagine 2017 pa, hanggang ngayon hindi pa kumpleto yung sa teachers, kinukumpleto pa nila. So yung 2020 natin, ano na ngayon, di ba 2021, 4 years ago, hanggang ngayon, nasa finishing touches na sila sa PPST. Kasi tinatrabaho pa nila. So yung 2020 natin, we will expect for another 4 years before it can be completed. At mas nauna pa yata yung sa PPSH kasi na DepEd Order number 24 siya, lamang ng isang number, di ba? So, what can we expect if we will not innovate and if we will not customize the IPCRF for supervisors? We cannot wait that long. So, your performances should be measured. That's why we are having this activity. So, the PPST is one of the gains in upgrading quality education of our country. And, of course, we all know that teacher quality is vital in raising learners' achievement. However, so this will be your role. Teachers cannot bring about substantive changes without effective leadership. So, may mga bagay na hindi nila kayang gawin kasi they are not into leadership arena. Sino ang gagawa niyan? So, the supervisors. The supervisors play a key role in upgrading education quality at the regional, division, or school levels, including the improvement of teacher and school head quality. And through this, the impact, of course, is for the learner's achievement. That is our ultimate goal, that there will be improvement on the learner's achievement coming from the support of the school heads and the supervisors. The Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors clearly articulates a developmental continuum of professional practice that supports supervisors in the conduct of their roles in the regions, divisions, schools, and learning centers, and provides clear guidance for career progression. Take note of the keyword professional practice and support in the conduct of their roles. Take note, kasali lang, hindi lang yung conventional na nalalaman natin na formal school, kasama ang mga learning centers. Kaya ang education, yung mga supervisors in general, the PSDS and the education program supervisors have their respective roles in the learning centers. So kaya hindi correct yung sasabihin na yung mga supervisors ay walang jurisdiction sa mga mga employees natin sa alternative learning system. Baka sabihin hindi na namin kailangan ng supervisors because I hear that one from one of the PSDS na may nagsabi daw sa kanila. So, that is not true. This is clearly articulated in DepEd Order number 25, series of 2020, that learning centers are part of their conduct, of their roles and responsibilities. The PPSS addresses the overlaps and duplications among the diverse supervisory functions at the regional and division levels, thereby streamlining and supporting the attainment of the overall mandate of each government level and the DepEd or the Department of Education as a whole. So we are hoping and praying that it will happen because previously and until now, there are duplications and overlappings of functions. And because of this, DepEd Order number 25, we are hoping to resolve those concerns. So hindi naman natin pwede na sa isang beses, sa isang iglap, ay makakaya nating i-mainstream ang lahat. There must be a process, no? Kita nyo naman ang sa teachers 2017 pa. Hanggang ngayon may pina-finalize pa sila. So, hindi pwedeng sa isang iglap change ang lahat. Now, this is the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors Framework. Look at the outer circle, yung first outer circle from the outer, no? Nandyan yung mga apat na pillars ng mga supervisors. Ito yung mga gagamitin ng mga supervisors as they perform their KRA. So, ito yung summary ng Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. The first one is supporting curriculum, management, and implementation. That is really the job of the supervisor. Then the second one is strengthening shared accountability. The third one is developing self and others, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. So, yan yung nasa outer circle. Yun yung mga KRA dapat ng mga supervisors. Then, nasa loob, yung second from the outer circle ay yung mga division supervisors at regional supervisors. When we say division supervisors, kasali na dyan ang mga education program supervisors at saka public schools district supervisors. As well as the regional supervisors, they work hand in hand in order to support the school heads in every school. Now, the school heads is in the third circle coming from the outer circle. Of course, siya ang strong support ng teachers. Then the next layer is ang teachers. And of course, yung nasa gitna ay ang learners. Ang description niya ay holistically developed Filipino learners. So, yan yung nasa gitna ng ating Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. Ito yung framework niya. If we recall sa Philippine Professional Standards for school heads, nasa gitna pa rin yung holistically developed Filipino learners. That's why we are having this goal in order to achieve this holistically developed Filipino learners. So, the PPSH is anchored on the principles of learner-centeredness, lifelong learning, and inclusivity. So, di ba? Nasa ano naman yan? Nasa Republic Act 10533. Doon naka-anchor yan. So, curriculum should be inclusive, promotes lifelong learning, and learner-centered. So, iyan na talaga ang essence ng PPSS. Then the next one is, the PPSS defines professional standards that constitute a quality supervisors in the regions and divisions. It shall serve as a public statement of professional accountability of supervisors. It sets out what supervisors are expected to know, anong dapat alam ng isang supervisor. Kahit district in charge or coordinator, dapat you must possess the minimum qualifications. And of course, be able to do. Ano yung expected sa'yo na dapat mong gawin? and value as they progress in their profession. It provides for a common language for high-impact leadership expected of supervisors to guide individual professional reflections. So we will have that professional reflections from time to time. It is expected for all supervisors to have that individual professional reflections, as well as professional discussions among educational leaders and other stakeholders, and to inform the provisions of professional learning and development of supervisors. Ano yung mga keywords? Professional reflections, professional discussions, among educational leaders, hindi lang sa maloob, but other stakeholders in order to achieve professional learning and development for supervisors. So no man is an island. Kailangan magtulungan. You must discuss this one not only with our leaders, but also with our stakeholders. You are the key officials to do that. After all supervisors are salary grade 22, and the Chief Education Program Supervisor is still a supervisor. The SGOD Chief and CID Chief is salary grade 24. Isang salary grade na lang. Salary grade na ng ESDS, and yet you are not reassigned from one station to another, just not like us. Na every 3 years we are moving from one division to another, while the Chief Education Program Supervisors remain on the division. At isang salary grade lang ang lamang, may rata din sila, di ba? Kaya marami talaga nakahanga din na maging Chief Education Supervisor. But first, bago ka maging Chief, dapat nasa high-performing supervisor ka muna. Kailangan you must be exceptional, nasa level 4 ka dapat. Dapat. The Philippine Professional Standards framework shows a broad sphere of supervisory practices in 4 domains. So yung mga KRA na sinabi ko kanila, sila yung mga domains na tatawagin natin, di ba? 4 na domain ang PPSS, supporting curriculum management and implementation, strengthening shared accountability, fostering a culture of continuous improvement, and developing self and others. The PPSS framework, that is figure on the left, depicts the link between regional and division supervisors, and the link between division supervisors and school heads. The 4 domains constitute a broad conceptual sphere of leadership practices for all supervisors. The placement of learners at the center of the framework emphasizes the coordinated and interconnected roles of supervisors, school heads, and teachers for the improvement of learners' achievement. Yan talaga ang ultimate goal natin, ang mga learners. So there is a need to have a coordinated effort and interconnected roles between the supervisors, the school heads, and the teachers for the improvement of learners' achievement. So, kailangan magkaisa. Isang direksyon, isang pananaw, sama-sama, walang iwanan ang mga supervisors, school heads, and teachers. So, let us now come to the roles and functions of a supervisors. Ano ba talaga, kuya, ang mga roles and functions of a supervisors? So we will now discuss this one. The primary role of supervisors is to create an enabling and supportive environment for effective learning by empowering school principals so that they can in turn create innovative and caring school climates where teachers productively execute their roles in supporting the learners to reach their full potentials. So ano yung mga keywords na kailangan nating tandaan? You create an enabling and supportive environment. Are you creating that one based from your past experience? Enabling and supportive environment? O baka ikaw yung disabling and destructive uh, scenario? Are you creating that one? I know you are not, because you are 21st century supervisors. So kailangan that there is an enabling and supportive environment so that you can empower school principals. So ang focus ninyo ay yung school principals. You can also have or give technical assistance to teachers, but your main focus really is the principals on how they execute their roles in supporting the learners and teachers in order to reach their full potentials. Kaya, isa yan sa dapat isaisip ng mga supervisors na very crucial ang inyong roles as supervisors. Dapat you empower the school principals so that they can innovate and create a caring school climate. So pag nasa taas, hindi ka supportive, hindi ka caring na principal, it might be that there is nobody extending technical assistance to that certain principal or school head. Because it will radiate. Kung ano yung binigay mo, kung ano yung input mo, yun din yung output niya. So if you did not have that supportive environment, if you did not create a supportive environment, then how can you expect that the school heads will have that innovations and caring school climate? In the Philippines, the roles and functions of the different supervisors have been informed by the policies listed. So let us now move. So this is a journey in 2001 with the passage of Republic Act 9155. This provides the framework for the governance of basic education, setting the general directions for educational policies and standards, and establishing authority, accountability, and responsibility for achieving higher learner outcome, and defines the roles and responsibilities of regions, schools divisions, and schools in implementing educational programs, projects, and services in communities they serve. This is the turning point of the roles and functions of the supervisors. We have a paradigm shift because of the passage of Republic Act 9155, or the Governance of Basic Education 1 or Education of 2001. Kasi may mga functions na nakuha, especially the administrative functions, from the PSDS, Public Schools District Supervisor. So, nasasabi ko na isa ito sa turning point dahil dito nagsimula ang journey towards this present scenario of all supervisors in the division and regional level. In 2003, DepEd Order number 81, series of 2003, delineates the specific roles and functions of supervisors from Chief Education Supervisors to Education Supervisors 1 to 3 and Public Schools District Supervisors, highlighting the respective scopes of supervisions and main responsibility. Natatandaan ninyo noon, hindi yan Education Program Supervisors but Education Supervisors. ES1 sa division, ES2 sa region, then ES3 yung mga assistant chief sa region. ES3 sila salary grade 23, yung sa division salary grade 21, yung sa region yung salary grade 22, at yung mga salary grade 23 yung mga assistant chief education supervisors 3. At yung chief, ayun yung education supervisor 4. Yun yung structure dati, di ba? We all know that one. So, bahagyang lamang ang education supervisor o ES2 ng region kasi lamang siya ng isang salary grade. Pero ngayon, pare-pareho na lang ang sweldo coming from the PSDS, Education Program Supervisor, as well as the Regional Education Program Supervisor. Kaya, yung iba, lalong-lalo na pag nasa lugar na nila, hindi na appealing na pupunta pa na region. What for? You will have the bigger scope and then pareho lang naman yung sweldo. But there has been move recently in order to raise the salary of the education program supervisors for the regional supervisors, but it did not materialize until this time. So, talagang pare-pareho na. Pero as of this time, in 2003, yun na nagsisimula na yung mga functions, specific roles and function. In 2004, we have the Executive Order number 366, series of 2004, strategically reviews the operations and organizations of the executive branch aimed at focusing government efforts and resources on its vital services and improving the quality and efficiency of government services delivery by eliminating or minimizing overlaps and duplications, improving agency performance through the rationalization of service delivery and support services, and organization structures and staffing. Imagine the executive order was released by then President, who is the president this time? If you can still recall, it's 2004, so it's President, the former President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Accordingly, isa siya sa pinaka um, masipag na president kasi signing of appointments for the third level post during that time is very very fast, no? So it will take just few days uh, bago masign yung mga appointments, but yung mga sumunod sa kanya masyadong matagal. This is just a observation. But the rationalization order, executive order, was released in 2004. So, mayroon ng mga studies that how do you minimize the overlapping of functions on 2004. On 2005, DepEd Order number 29, series of 2005, focuses on the roles and functions of division supervisors towards improved educational outcomes. But it was until 2013 when the DepEd rationalization program was started on its implementation. This ensures the smooth transition of the Department of Education, which includes the supervisory position. How many years? It's barely 9 years since the issuance of the executive order of the rationalization before it was really realized on the DepEd rationalization program. As we all know, may mga posisyon ng mga CTI o yung mga incumbent or coterminous to individual. Ibig sabihin, hindi na siya pwedeng palitan kung mag-retire siya kasi madidissolve na yung position na yon. But recently, yung mga non-teaching, pwede daw siyang i-request so that we can fill in those positions. But may mga positions talagang nawala, no? Just like the assistant chief in the regional level, wala na ngayon, di ba? Before, there is an assistant chief in the regional level. Now, there is chief education program supervisors. Di ba noon sa promotional staff, under lang siya lahat ng ASDS, but now we have the chief of CID and SGOD. And soon, there will be chief, additional chief. As of the moment, may mga plans nila, di ba? Sa planning, I think there should be a one chief, then sa admin, another chief, and so on. So that is the start of the rationalization program. And in 2015, finally, kasi 2013, ano pa lang yan, parang may transition. And finally, on 2015, through DepEd Order number 52, series of 2015, sets a new organizational structure in line with Republic Act 9155. In keeping with the principles of decentralization and shared governance to ensure accountability and relevance to the context and development needs of learners and stakeholders of various organizational levels. So since 2001, na-implement talaga ang organizational structure of the 9155 because of the principle of decentralization and empowerment, principal empowerment, on 2015. So it takes 14 years to finally issue the set up the organizational structure. And consequently, 5 education or 5 supervisor functions were established in the school's division, namely education program supervisor in the curriculum implementation division, in the learning resource management. So that's why we have a supervisor in the LRMDS. In our division, it's Ma'am Abutay. And we have education program supervisor in the curriculum implementation division for the instructional management. So sa CID, mayroon tayong mga supervisors. Take note, it will differ on the size of the division. Kasi pag medium at large, iba't iba yung number of supervisors. Sa large, there are 30 PSDS and more education program supervisors. At dalawa yung assistant schools division superintendent. Sa very large, tatlo na yan, no? The higher is the category of the division or the size of the division, the more personnel it will have. Pero, hindi pa sila mayroong moratorium on the request for the conversion of some divisions. Halimbawa, yung Agusan del Sur, medium siya, pero actually the strength is for large divisions. So may mga iba small, pero actually they are medium divisions. Then we have education program supervisors for school governance and operations division. From the SGOD, mayroong supervisor dapat dyan. And then the public schools district supervisors, they are under still CID. Included na yan yung mga district in charge on the curriculum implementation division or the district instructional supervision. That's your function, district instructional supervision. And the chief education supervisors, ito nang sinasabi ko kanina kasi salary grade 24, napakaswerte kasi walang exam na ipapass. Unlike in ASDS at SDS, kaunti lang naman ang lamang namin na salary grade, kaunti lang din lamang namin na rata, pero they are on salary grade 24, the CID and School Governance and Operations Division. And soon, there will be additional chief from both regional and schools division offices. Watch out for that. So, yung mga gusto mag-chief, you must prepare, study the criteria, finish your education, and so on. 6 supervisor functions were also established in the regions. So this is for the regional office. Education Program Supervisor for CLMD or the Curriculum Learning Management Division. Education Supervisor in the Field Technical Assistance Division or the FTAD. Education Program Supervisor in the Quality Assurance Division or the QUAD. Education Program Supervisor in the Human Resource Development Division or HRDD. Then another Education Program Supervisor in the Policy, Planning, and Research Division. And then, ito yung PPRD. Mayroon din siyang Education Programs Supervisor. And then, we have the Chief Education Supervisor, all functional divisions in the region. I think there are 8 functional divisions in every region. Okay. Kasi hindi nakasali dyan yung finance at saka yung Chief AO ng every region. So, 8 sila. Walo sila. So, since the inception of the 11 supervisors' roles and functions, there have been some overlaps and conflicts due to differences in interpretation and implementation of the rationalized functions and structures. For this, there's a need for a set of professional standards that can unify all supervisors in dispensing their roles and functions, creating a common understanding, mindset, and skill set. So, this is the purpose of this DepEd order. Kasi hindi maiwasan during the implementation of the functions, the rationalized function and structures, there is really an overlapping of uh, differences or mayroong mga different interpretations. Halimbawa, noon pinag-aawayan saan ba talaga ang education program supervisor ng sports. Dati nakalagay siya sa CID. Tapos, naging SGOD. Mayroong mga division na nasa CID. Mayroong mga division na nasa SGOD. So, parang marami pang hindi clear. Kasi kaya nga, nasa process pa tayo, di ba? We must understand na hindi talaga perfect at one instant. So, kaya na-desisyonan na yung best supervisor will be on the SGOD. Kaya nasa SGOD na siya. Dati-dati nasa CID yan. Before may mga divisions na talagang hindi sila mag-give way talaga sa CID. Pero later on, it was resolved by the central office. So hanggang ngayon, mayroon pa rin tayong mga hindi maintindihan. Pero by and by, as we go with the journey, kaya natin ito. So let us now discuss about the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. So darating na tayo sa talagang sa core at sa meat ng what is PPSS. Okay. Sorry for my obo kasi pag prolong na ang pag-talk, walang pahinga kasi I cannot pause this recording. So I must continue. So the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. The development of Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors began with a review of varied competency-related documents of DepEd, the Civil Service Commission, and Career Executive Service Board, and the absence of existing professional standards for supervisors. All these were mapped against international standards across 60 jurisdictions. So, sino yung nagsama-sama? DepEd, Civil Service, and Career Executive Service Board. So, ito yung mga nagsama-sama. Yung Career Executive Service Board is para yan sa mga third level officials. At yung civil service is for the first and second level officials. And of course, the Department of Education. The PPSS supports supervisors by creating a common language that articulates supervisors' competencies using well-defined domains, strands, and indicators to provide varying degrees of professional learning, competent leadership practices, and effective management. What are the common words? We must create a common language. So, yung tatlong agencies, sees to it that PPSS creates a common language that articulates competencies through well-defined domains, strands, and indicators. So, titignan natin, no? So, dapat masaulo natin ito. Masaulo ng bawat supervisors, what are the domains, what are the strands, and what are the indicators? Because this is your lifeblood. You are not a supervisor if you do not know the domain, strands, and indicators of the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. Baka sabihin, ano ba yung 4 domains ng Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors? Ay, baka yung iba hindi alam. So, kailangan isa ulo, isa isip, isa puso. No? Ang concepts ng PPSS. The PPSS is anchored on the principles of the learner-centeredness, lifelong learner, and inclusivity to gain the understanding of underlying structures, perspectives, and beliefs that shape the organization. So, nasabi na ito kanina na learner-centered, lifelong learning, at yung inclusive. Kasi nasa RA 10533 ito, no, yung sa 2013 na K-12 law or the K-12 law. Specifically, it aims to, the first one is set out clear expectations of what supervisors need to know, be able to do, and value in order to become competent managers and exemplary leaders. Ano yung outcome dapat ng mga supervisor? Dapat maging isang competent managers and exemplary leaders. Take note, dapat you are a competent manager and exemplary leaders. Kaya kailangan kaalam ninyo sa knowledge, anong dapat gawin, be able to do, and value so that you will become this competent and exemplary. So, hindi pwedeng sabihin na you are a manager only or you are a leader only. You need managerial and leadership skills in order to become a successful supervisors. The second one is provide a unified measure of professional accountability and development. So, measure of professional accountability and development. So, kaya nga, the output of this is the IPCRF. So, the IPCRF is now seamless for both PSDS or Public Schools District Supervisors and the Education Program Supervisors. And we must have a uniform measure among this one in order to have that accountability and development. Okay? And then, engage supervisors to assessment and reflection of their practices continuously. What are the keywords? You assess and you reflect your practices continuously. Kasi baka yung mga practices mo, if you will not reflect, you cannot cope up with the demands of time. Baka hindi ka sa level ng supervisors. Kasi pag palagi kang magreklamo na ano ba itong ginagawa ko, ano ba, napakarami, busy palagi, then why enter into that position? You must assess and reflect. So sa spelling yan, no? Sa pag-encode. The word is, the keyword of this letter C, continuously. You must continuously improve. But how can you improve if you do not assess and reflect your practices? It cannot be denied na sometimes may mga practices tayo which are not in consonance with the standards. So you must change for the better. That is why continuous improvement is the key. So you must continuously improve so that you will have that successful implementation of the different programs and projects, and you can extend technical assistance to your school heads and teachers. So paano mo masasabi na you extend technical assistance kung hindi ka naman nag-improve continuously? So there must be an improvement from yourself continuously. Look at yourself now. Where are you now? You try to evaluate yourself. Karapat-dapat ba akong maging supervisors? Do I worth the salary I am receiving? Salary grade 22. For some others, mga district in charge and coordinators, you are still bringing the salary grade of your position. But mind you, baka may iba pa sa inyo na hindi pa nagtapos ng kanilang master's degree. O baka maging labor of love lang yung pagiging coordinator ninyo or pagiging district in charge because you did not improve continuously. Please be reminded that the basic requirement for an education program supervisor or public schools district supervisor is to be a master's degree holder. No other, that is non-negotiable. So if you are not an immigrant graduate and you are a district in charge or a coordinator now is the time to reflect and assess yourself. Kasi baka trabaho ka ng trabaho, nalimutan mo at the end of the day na hindi ka pala qualified. Pagdating ng item ng PSDS, napakaraming item ng PSDS, lalo na pag ma-approve na tayo ng large division at marami ding item ng education program supervisor, baka yung mga subordinate mo na principal ay maging PSDS at ikaw ay bababa muli sa pagiging principal or maging master teacher ka ulit. Kasi you did not improve continuously. So you must remember that one. Take it from me. Charity begins at home. So you must reflect and assess your practices. Baka yung iba mong practices ay nalimutan mo na ang self-development mo. So you must see to it that you are qualified for the position. Ay, baka nakalimutan mo na. Sabihin, ay, matanda na ako. Ganon, mag-retire na ako. That is your choice. Ang akin lang, baka biglang dumating yung item, no? Kasi yung mga item, biglang-bigla, mga biglaan yan. So you cannot do it overnight na pagdating asa ka pa mag-aaral. So I know some of you here are not yet master's degree holder. Bato-bato sa langit, ang tatamaan ay pikon. So dapat you must begin with yourself. You must improve yourself. It is not yet too late. You continue your study. Okay, take it from me. Kailangan talaga, you must begin with yourself. Charity begins at home. So these are the domains and strands of the professional, Philippine Professional Standards for school heads or for supervisors. The domain 1 is the supporting curriculum management and implementation. Under niya, yung mga strands, yung 1 to 6, curriculum implementation, curriculum innovation, curriculum contextualization, learning resource development, learning resource management, and learning outcomes assessment. Okay, sa domain number 2 ay strengthening shared accountability. There are 4 strands. We have educational development plan, operationalization. Sorry for that. So educational plan, that is the SIP, ESIP. Dapat ma-operationalize yan. Ano? That is one of your responsibility. Supervisors. Anyway, each of these will be discussed by the 4 speakers later from this session. So we have the policy review and recommendation. So there is a need to conduct year-end review. Then the goal, the cycles of RPMS. And then disaster preparedness, mitigation, and resiliency support. You should support all schools on this. This is part of your domain, ang KRA. Domain number 3, parang nabaliktad ko siya kanina, no? So anyway, domain number 3, fostering a culture of continuous improvement. So there are 5 strands. We have support for instructional leadership. We have technology-based innovation, including ICT. And then, the culture of research. O, nandito yung culture of research. So, paano ka makabigay ng culture of research kung ikaw mismo you don't like research? Kaya you must evaluate yourself. Karapat-dapat ba ako dito maging supervisor? And communities of practice. You need this one, the COP. Sa CDIP time, nauso na ito, di ba? And then the use of communication platforms. There are so many communication platforms that you need to familiarize with that. You need to be techy and technology savvy. The last domain is developing self and others. So there are 5 strands for this. We have learning and development, the professional networks, personal and professional development, o take note of that, the personal and professional development. Yung sinabi ko kanina, develop yourself and others. So personal, yung attitude mo, and then yung professional. So you must study. Huwag mong sabihin na, ay nako, ilang taon ka na mag-district in charge or mag-coordinator, pagdating ng item hindi magiging sa iyo because you are not qualified. So take note of that. Now is the time for reckoning. You must really make an action in order to finish your master's degree. So that's an order to all of you. So that's my tagline in DepEd. Pag hindi gusto yung mga in my previous division in this league, o pag hindi gusto yung mga nire-recommend ko, sinabihan ko, that's an order. So they are bound to follow. So, we have also the professional reflection and learning to improve practice. O, yung sinabi ka na, pabalik-balik yun, di ba? Reflection and learning. And then, the fifth strand is to support for rewards and recognition mechanism. So, you must have that rewards and recognition. See, that's part of your KRA. Let us now let us now briefly discuss the different career stages. So kung ang yung mga principals ay may career stage 1 to 4, yung mga supervisors ay may career stage 1 to 4 din. So the career stage 1, this is the pre-supervisors have acquired the prerequisite qualifications for the position of a supervisor. So, take note, pre-supervisors. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka pa naging supervisor or hindi ka pa naging coordinator. They should possess considerable knowledge and understanding of the functions expected of supervisors as specified in the Philippine Professional Standards for Supervisors. Hindi ka pa coordinator, hindi ka pa supervisor, career stage 1 ka na. Alam mo na yung knowledge of the functions expected of you. And you are to equip with exceptional teaching skills as stipulated in Career Stage 3 and or Career Stage 4 in the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers or PPST or Schools Leadership Skills stipulated in Philippine Professional Standards for School Heads or PPSSH or other relevant equivalent qualifications and experiences. Aside from the functions, aside from the knowledge, dapat qualified ka maging supervisor. Both from the attitude and the educational qualifications. Kasi useless lahat. Alam mo ang knowledge, alam mo understanding, alam mo lahat, mabait ka. Pero ang ending, hindi ka qualified kasi hindi ka master's degree holder. So, magiging labor of love lahat. Yung mga pinaghirapan mo. Because here comes somebody who is qualified and yet you are more dedicated than him or her pero mas qualified sa iyo educationally. Kaya dapat yan ang unahin ng mga district in charge at mga coordinators. So that is a big challenge to all of you. I hope that you realize that one through this video. Okay, career stage 2 is the default stage. When I say default stage, this should be the minimum for all supervisors, both in the district and in the division. So, hindi pwede ang supervisor na nasa career stage 1. That is not the default stage kasi pre-supervisor pa ang tawag sa kanya. So, sa career stage 2, The supervisors independently display the required knowledge and skills in performing their leadership and supervisory functions. So alam na alam mo yung required knowledge and skills and you apply the required knowledge and skills. That is the default stage. Kasi dapat may alam ka about knowledge and skills and you perform that. So that is the default stage. They provide support to divisions, districts, schools, and or learning centers. Oh, kasali ang learning center, no? Ibig sabihin kasali ang ALS for curriculum management and implementation by strengthening shared accountability and fostering a culture of continuous improvement while developing themselves and others. They solicit proactive support from colleagues and their immediate superiors in performing more advanced tasks. Ano yung keyword? Proactive. From where? From colleagues and immediate superiors in order to perform more advanced tasks. Dapat proactive ang supervisors. Huwag mag-function when you are just told to do so. You must envision. You must work on your own even when you are not told. That is on the default stage. No? Hindi ibig sabihin supervisor na maghintay lang tayo kung ano yung dapat. You should have that innovation. You just have that you must be proactive all the time. They manifest maturity in decision making and exhibit influence, credibility, and authority in following basic standards and procedures in work. Mga keyword, decision making. Maturity, no? In decision making. And exhibit influence, credibility, and authority. So, wag yung supervisor na papalit-palit yung you study first before you conduct a meeting, you make announcement. Baka kasi hindi maiwasan na may mga principals tayo or teachers na mas magaling pa sa atin. So, dapat nakaplano, you must be ahead of them. Kasi, hindi naman patalinuhan yan. Pag may plano ka, you can be ahead of those intelligent ones. Dapat may credibility. Kasi pag well-informed pa ang school head mo kaysa sa'yo. So, you are not in career stage 2. So, dapat you must have that credibility and authority in following basic standards and procedures of alam mo yung pasikot-sikot. Baka naman yung principal or teacher pa magsabi, di ba sir, as supervisor or ma'am, dito dapat ang gawin mo na naloko na. So, ibig sabihin, you don't have that maturity. You don't have that influence. Kada ano sasabihin nila, mas magaling pa ako dito, kayang-kaya ko ito. So, doon na magkakaroon ng trading. Kasi pag mahina ang supervisor, tingin ng principal or teachers na kayang-kaya, I could trade my absences, my poor performance, kasi mas matalino ako. Wag mo akong ganunin. Kahit mababa lang performance ko, no? Pwede posible nangyayari yan. Kasi mababa lang performance ko, pero mas matalino ako sa iyo, sa akin ka nagtatanong palagi. Hindi naman bawal magtanong, pero you should have that credibility and influence and authority on the basic standards and procedures of work. So this is the default stage. You are not a supervisor if you don't belong to this stage. So dapat talaga nandito kayo. So if you are not yet here, honestly, you must start now developing these characteristics on the career stage 2. So, on career stage 3, supervisors consistently exhibit in-depth knowledge and remarkable skills in performing their leadership and supervisory functions. What are the keywords? In-depth knowledge and remarkable skills. So, sa career stage 2, compared to this, kasi nag-apply ka lang doon, anong nadagdag dito? May in-depth knowledge ka na and remarkable skills. Ibig sabihin, nagme-mentor ka na, nagko-collaborate ka na ng mga colleagues mo. So, may sinisharean ka na. Para ka ng resource persons. Pag may mga tatanong, ikaw palagi yung tinatanong, you are on career stage 3. Or kung ikaw palagi ang tatanong, hindi ka natatanong din. You are not on career stage 3. So you must develop. So oftentimes, when you try to evaluate yourselves, huwag ka agad sabihin na you are on career stage 3. You must remember these different characteristics of a career stage 3 supervisors. So, ano yon? They are able to develop and collaborate with colleagues in the implementation of strategies to support divisions, districts, schools, and or learning centers, curriculum management and implementation by strengthening shared accountability and fostering a culture of continuous improvement while developing themselves and others. So ano yung mga keywords? You develop and collaborate with colleagues. So parang may transfer of skills ka na. You collaborate and develop. Sabi nga nila, natatandaan ko yung former RD natin, si Ma'am Beatrice Torgi Torno. Sabi niya, Ma'am Beatrice Gonzalez Torno, there's no success without successor. So, you must develop and collaborate. So, mag-develop ka ng iba. If you are doing that one, then you are a career stage 3 supervisors. Not necessarily na yung mga subordinates, pwedeng colleague, kapwa mo supervisors. Kung ikaw na yung resource person palagi, ikaw na yung sandigan, tinatanungan, kahit anong mga technicalities, then you are on career 3. Career stage 3. They mentor and coach colleagues to help them achieve significant transitions and or advance to the next career stage. So, hindi ka mag-jealous sa iba. Dapat uh, you are happy for the development. You coach them so that they can move from one stage to another. Baka sabihin mo, nasa career stage 3 ako. Dapat walang ibang career stage 3. No, hindi ganyan ang attitude ng career stage 3 supervisor. Dapat mas maka-develop ka pa so that you can advance to career stage 4. So, kaya nga, yung sabi, there is no success without successor. So, you must train somebody so that they will also develop and experience what you have experienced. That is the beauty of career stage 3. They exhibit sound decision making, bringing influence and establishing credibility and authority. Di pa pag maraming alam, mayroon kang credibility and authority. Bawat sasabihin mo parang batas sa nakikinig sa'yo. If you have that attitude or aura, influence and credibility and authority, then you are on career stage 3 supervisor. To tell you. And the highest is the career stage 4 supervisors. They embody outstanding qualities and exemplary practice in executing their leadership and supervisory functions. They lead and empower career stage 2 and career stage 3 supervisors in curriculum management and implementation by strengthening shared accountability and fostering a culture of continuous improvement while developing themselves and others. They exemplify principled decision making, bringing impact with strong credibility and authority. Ay, napaka-perfect ng ating career stage 4. Sabi ng friend ko, perfect. So, career stage 4, parang you're a seasoned, you're a legend, you have that outstanding qualities and exemplary practice. I'm sure sa division natin, napakarami natin career stage 4 supervisors. So, ano yung mga keyword? You lead and empower yung mga nasa career stage 2 and career stage 3. So, you lead them and empower them so that they will be strengthened. So, they will have that improvement of themselves and others. So, there is a multiplication of leadership skills and responsibility. Kasi pag nag-develop ka ng isa, pwede siya mag-develop din ng iba. So you must be happy of that in order for you to be called a career stage for supervisors. And most of all, they exemplify principled decision making and bringing impact with strong credibility and authority. I know this is difficult to achieve, but kayang-kaya kung sisimulan ngayon na. Ano yon? Kayang-kaya kung inyong sisimulan ngayon na. So you tell it to yourself, kayang-kaya kung aking sisimulan ngayon na. Everybody, go! Kayang-kaya kung aking sisimulan ngayon na. With emphasis with na. No? So, for some, this is impossible to achieve. But by and by, step by step, precept upon precept, you can be career stage for supervisors. And you can tell yourself you have a fruitful day or career in the Department of Education. So, look at yourself 5 years from now. On the day 3 of this activity, we will honor the retired supervisors. You look at them as your example because it is looking by them that you can say that someday I will be like them. And most of all, there is no greater influence or example than by our greater exemplar, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Redeemer. He is the great teacher, the great master teacher, the great supervisor. He developed and empower others so that they can be useful citizens in our country. I know that all of you has lot of potentials. All of us has different intelligences. And if we develop that one, if we try to reflect and continue to improve, we can achieve what we would like to achieve. There is no impossible because according to the Bible, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share my knowledge and experiences with you. I'm very glad to be in this large division in Caraga region, the Agusan del Sur division. And I'm very proud and honored to serve you in my capacity. Thank you very much for listening. I know this could have been a better presentation if I have some interactions with you. I could have changed my presentation. I could have some questions, interactions, question and answer, but I cannot do it since this is a recorded lecture. Thank you very much for giving this chance uh, to touch you and to share to you my knowledge and understanding. Because once in a while, I was a supervisor, a principal, a supervisor, because before I became an assistant schools division superintendent. Mabuhay kayong lahat and God bless you as you perform with utmost dignity and credibility your functions as supervisor. God bless to all of you.